I have the utmost pleasure of interviewing Lisa McKendrick from the UK. Lisa is a painter, musician, and designer. Fully manipulated artwork. Also have designed PCB art and custom synths and make electronic music. She's born in New Zealand and lives in the UK and has a bachelor's degree in design. So welcome, Lisa. Super happy to have you. Super excited to have you here in front of the community. Yeah. So you kind of have a little bit of a rundown of how the show how it works. So I'm going to do my best to chime in as little as possible. We're going to run through your PowerPoint. We're going to dive over to the marketplace to see your remaining artworks. Yeah, that's basically it. So without further ado, here is slide 1 of Lisa McKendrick's art.
Yeah, this is like the first slide, which is like a general overview. But the two on the bottom I haven't put up yet. They're going up on the 8th of April. And the two at the top are actually available at the moment. They're kind of like complete abstract works. As you can see, they're very colourful, very vibrant. There's a lot going on inside the geometry and that sort of thing. And there's a lot of like flow and energy and I mean, the bright colors are really amazing for me right now because, we've just been through a long winter and looking at these colors when I'm making them and stuff is like really nice.
Mm-hmm. No, I honestly, I'm pretty fascinated by it. Like, is it abstract? Is kind of like, would you call that your style, or is this just one part of your style? Ooh, obviously, I just answered my own question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I also do oil painting. So this is kind of stuff that I've done on canvas. Some of those were like, one of them is 2012.
Oh,
so it's kind of,
wow. So you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. And so they're kind of figurative, but there's always bits of the painting that are abstract. And like you can kind of see on the one on the right, you can see these kind of like geometric shapes kind of falling into the painting. And I guess like what I do sometimes is I just do stuff which is abstract and geometric. So I'm kind of interested in geometric shapes and things like that. And I sort of draw them over and over again. And I kind of have shapes and things that sort of recur. A lot of triangles and other formations and things. Quite sort of biomorphic. Mm-hmm. And so I guess you can kind of see where that came from, but I kind of see it separate, and that's why I'm sort of doing digital artworks, is that I can sort of take that somewhere that I maybe can't do with oil painting, or I prefer to like do those kind of artworks digitally rather than. So they're kind of like a combination of digital and drawing. Mm-hmm. So I start off doing drawings, and so I do a lot of geometry and stuff on paper, and I sort of like let it flow and like go at once to and that sort of thing. And then I manipulate the image digitally and spend sort of ages kind of making sort of bits and pieces different, so it ends up looking quite different. As you'll see further down, I've got like a slide where I kind of show my initial drawing, and it's kind of quite a few slides down.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
I honestly, you're hitting us with so much so fast. Like, I'm curious how you even got to these points in your life. Like, did you start with oil paintings, and like, because it seems like you have just a vast knowledge of just art and design in general. So, can you give us a little backstory on where you came from?
Yeah, I studied art in New Zealand, and I started off doing like acrylic and oil paintings in art school, and it was quite an interesting experience because. Well, before I went to art school, I used to spend sort of ages doing sort of like one painting that would take me sort of months, so I'd do it like really slowly. And then I went to art school and I kind of like was in the painting class, and the tutor said, I want you to finish 3 paintings today.
Whoa!
Yeah, so we just had these like huge bits of card, and I did manage to finish 3 paintings. I just painted really fast. It was like, a lot of drips, a lot of paint, a lot of like energy. and that sort of thing, and not huge amounts of detail or anything, but the paintings were like felt really sort of fresh and alive and that sort of, and it was just like an exercise, you know, like I don't think I ever kept those paintings, like they probably ended up in the bin somewhere, but like,
oh no,
it was like an exercise. We throw loads of stuff away at art school, you know, you just make so much work that you
can mint all of that.
Now I could. If only I'd known about it. But so that was kind of like my introduction to painting at that kind of like, you know,
wow.
at sort of like university level, where
refined
like
by fire.
We kind of like we were sort of, I guess, encouraged to like work really fast and big and be quite ambitious with how much work we made. And for me, I'm sort of quite prolific as it was, so I ended up kind of like painting in a kind of completely different way once I went there, which was like to paint quite sort of fast. And
if you're fast, do you find your own style? Like this is just me being curious. I don't have any background in design, so I'm curious. Like if you work quick, do you just find, like, I imagine you just have your own techniques that you pick up on, and eventually you kind of like hone in your own style, because if you go quick, you don't really have enough time to like really use something else as an example. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm just kind of...
Well, I mean, I don't think I paint that quick now. I mean, like that was kind of an example of how my style developed. That was kind of like when I started out. So I didn't realize that you could paint that quick. I mean, I never had somebody actually say to me, okay, paint this thing really fast, you know, and that was the challenge. And now I spend sort of a long time in between layers of paintings and things, you know. I don't sort of like do that sort of action painting so much now. That was kind of more of an exercise. But that's kind of got me into the idea of like, you know, painting when you're in flow, or when you're kind of like, there's a lot of energy there and that sort of thing. But I now kind of spend sort of ages, like what you find is that you can't, you know, if you paint like that, like a lot of the time it doesn't work, you know, so you get to know like what works and what doesn't. And I often work from photos and things like that. Like I have it as a source material, and I can pretty much tell now, after years of painting, I can usually tell what's going to work and what isn't. And so I know what to not waste my time with. And that's just kind of like having more knowledge of it. It might be to do with the angle of the object, or like these ones we're looking at now. Like I like the angle of the motorbike and stuff, because it's kind of like got a bit of perspective in there. Whereas if you try to paint it sort of front on, it would look really flat, and then you would kind of spend ages not really being happy with it because it looked too flat or something. So I would kind of know, okay, this is a good photo to paint, rather than having no clue what I'm going to do, you know, and just sort of trying to, I think when for years I just sort of was doing painting, and a lot of things wouldn't work, and some things would work and some things wouldn't work, and I think you get to a point where most of your stuff starts to work, and that's quite nice. It's quite nice to get to that stage where you kind of know what's going to work and what isn't, and go from there.
So you did these in 2020. Does this mean you're still in school, or like, because you did these in school?
No. These are art school was like many years ago.
Oh.
I don't know why I started. You kind of like asked me how I got into painting, but I was talking about years ago.
Oh, sorry. That's my fault. My train of thought.
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
These are not sort of those ones that I was talking about. This is more of my developed work. This is more as a professional artist.
I was wondering, I'm like, how did you do these so fast? And they're so incredible. Like, I was like, what is happening? You're breaking my brain here.
That was just like a story of art school, really. Like, you know, what we had to do. But I mean, what I found it really liberating. Like, that someone said to me, okay, I want you to paint 3, and they were huge as well. They were these huge paintings that I made just on card, just on cheap materials and stuff. Just using like acrylic paint and being like really like not being precious at all with it. But it did help me to like kind of like to loosen up a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, all sorts of other things happened at art school, but I don't have time to go into it all. But they were just like you know, being given that freedom, And I think after that, when I kind of experienced that, maybe I was kind of became addicted to painting then, because
Ah.
I kind of realized what an amazing medium it was, and I was kind of working so slowly before, and then I realized I could like that paint is kind of this like liquid medium that you can sort of have loads of fun with, and that it's kind of, oil paint is your friend and your enemy, you know. Often it does what you want it to, and other times it doesn't behave, you know. But you kind of have this push and pull thing with it.
Yeah. Did you mention your favorite medium? I mean, you're up, but what is your favorite medium? And do you like digital over? I mean, do you have a preference?
Well, they're different, you know. So I like using digital sometimes, you know. It is different. I mean, I do design work, so I'm using sort of Photoshop a lot anyway, and kind of what I started doing was like, because I was using all these skills with design, I just sort of started transferring them over to my art practice, and thinking, oh, I wonder what would happen if I took this drawing and sort of like worked on it digitally. These drawings here that you're looking at are watercolors, so they're not digital, but that kind of gives you an idea of like where I am with how the geometric stuff kind of fits in with my physical works. So you can kind of see like figures and abstraction around people, and the abstractions could be many things. There might be energy, or sometimes I think there might be thoughts, or there might be whatever you want them to be, really. And so that's kind of like, I put this slide in to kind of show how my process works. I'm also working on paper. Like the other ones that we're looking at are oil paintings on canvas, and this is on paper. And I kind of see these drawings as like a midway point between my paintings and the digital drawings, which you're going to see later, or which you've already seen in the first slide. The next slide is going to confuse people even more, because I'm also doing music. So
this is you.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I put this in because like this is kind of part of my history. Is that I do electronic music now mostly, but I also was doing sort of songwriter stuff for some years as well. So I think I like learning new mediums, because I learned the guitar and stuff, and singing and all that, and now I've like learned all these synths, and I've even learned to like build my own synth, and designed my own synths and stuff, like co-designed. So
wow.
it's kind of like the journey is kind of there of like, it's not really in chronological order. I mean, this is just something that I did some years ago, and then this is kind of what I'm currently doing with electronic music, and we're using like 8-bit visuals. It's like a 8-bit, like a synth, like glitch generator live.
Wow.
So it's kind of old school, but you get these amazing patterns, and with these particular visuals, I was mixing my drawings in with it, so I was kind of like experimenting. And what I like about electronic music is that I get a lot more experimental with things, and I like experimenting live, and that's like, to me that's like really exciting. It's like what I was saying about how when I had to like paint those 3 paintings in one afternoon, like it's kind of a bit like that with electronic music live, like you're experimenting, but it's live, and you're like, what's going to happen? And you get that like flow of energy happening, and there's kind of, you can sort of loosen up, and I think you're kind of like quite alive in those moments, really.
Yeah. Do you chase those moments?
Not really, because I think you can have those moments just doing everyday stuff as well. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because you've referenced like flow and energy and all these kind of things so much
that's the thing, yeah. Actually, I wanted to mention about that, because the energy and flow thing, it doesn't have to be like on a stage, or it doesn't have to be like a big sort of like momentous moment in your day. And there was this, there's this like psychologist called Abraham Maslow, and he studied people who are happy. And he says that what happens is they kind of have these peak experiences during the day, and they have it throughout the day. Like, that might just be doing something really normal, like I don't know, drinking a cup of tea or something, and they sort of go into these like peak experiences. It's when they feel like quite elated.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to like be chasing this kind of stage time just because I thought, okay, that's the only place I can experience these things, because you can kind of go there when you're drawing or when you're doing lots of things. But I guess I do have a kind of like, I like making art a lot. So
yeah.
and I get quite sort of moody if I don't get time to
Yeah.
to get to fully immerse myself in my stuff. Like
Yeah.
I get kind of annoyed or whatever. So because that's what I want to spend my time doing. So,
yeah. No, I'm fascinated. Honestly, like I'm grateful that you went in on the flow and energy stuff, because I mean it definitely is like, I don't know, like to know that someone else thinks similar, at least even remotely, is nice and comforting, because I kind of hold the same beliefs.
oh yeah,
So these are the
that's good.
synths that you were talking about.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
these are beautiful.
So I've co-designed these with my partner Tim, and they're kind of like a psychogeographic noise, so noisy little beasts. But they're kind of, both of them are based on like psychogeographic locations. The one on the left, no, the one on the right, which is called Chernobylizer, is obviously based on the Chernobyl zone and the decontamination zone as Chernobyl plant. So that's all like kind of based around ideas and research we did on Chernobyl. And the one on the left is like based on this place called Fort Process, New Haven Fort, which is like we call it Fort Processor because there's a festival there called the Fort Process Festival, but it's at New Haven Fort, and so it's based on the site plan.
Wow.
So,
you put a lot of thought into it. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and so we kind of like, we build them and we sell them as kits, or we build them as fully built
So,
instruments.
from someone who knows nothing about what I'm looking at, and then I would dare say the majority of the community has no idea what they're looking at, can you explain what we're looking at?
Yeah. Okay. The one on the right is like, it generates sound. So when you plug it in, like with an out into the output, like into like your amplifier, it generates a kind of like all these, like, it's kind of like where you take like a square wave and you chop it up and that sort of thing. It generates noise and sounds and things like that, and you can control it. See, all the like silver things at the front, they're actually touch pads. And so the touch pads are kind of like my designs, these kind of like geometric biomorphic shapes that I've made, which actually represent mutations from the Chernobyl disaster. So
wow.
So there's actually a video online of us playing it. So if anyone's interested, you just look up Chernobylizer on YouTube, and you can actually hear how it sounds.
Yeah, we'll have to include links to that and then
and it's
the video.
At the top you can see the 5 controller knobs. So that's where you'd control the sounds that it's making. So you could, like, anyone could like turn it on and be able to play it. That's what I love about these instruments, is that because when I first played the noise synth, I was like, wow, like anyone could actually play this, because what you're dealing with is like energy. So the synth creates energy like through sound, and because it's all electricity and stuff, and you control the energy by moving the knobs around and stuff, and you can just sort of like get into it. And I think like probably people that are into modular stuff, do you know modular stuff?
Yeah, of course, right.
Probably people that have probably bought our stuff are people into modular stuff, or people into experimental music and things like that. But the reason I included these is that like all the drawings and stuff on it and all the artwork are kind of like my geometric stuff that I've included in my first NFT drop. Kind of like, they're similar. I mean, they're different, but they're kind of on that kind of wavelength.
Have you ever thought about somehow trying to bridge the gap with your synths and these, and figuring out a way to, I don't know, have that experience replicated on the blockchain?
It's definitely something I'm thinking about right now. Yeah. Because like I haven't released any music yet on the blockchain, but it's all like stuff that I'm thinking about a lot lately. Because I only just got into this like in the last few months. I think it was February that I did like my first drop. So I'm just
Oh
kind of
wow.
learning about how it all works and stuff. And there's like loads of possibilities,
Mm-hmm.
but we haven't thought of anything just yet. But we definitely will, and that's definitely next on the list of things that we want to do with those synths.
No, I'm excited. That's a really exciting thing, and it's such a novel idea. I think like mad
Yeah.
respect for you doing that for sure. I've
Oh,
definitely
thank
never
you.
heard of it, and it's so unique. And I love the amount of detail, honestly,
Mm,
that you put into this, and the terrain,
yeah.
and like I like anything that, like the amount of thought put into this. I can just say that I truly appreciate it, just because like that's some real passion, and so
Thanks.
that's
Yeah,
really
we
cool.
have them. We have them in our Etsy shop if anyone's interested.
Hmm.
Like, they just look them up, Shinobilizer
Wow,
Etsy.
very
You
cool.
guys, you guys use Etsy a lot there because we get a lot of people ordering stuff from the US.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Like that was very cool. It's hard for me to move on. I'm like, wow. Now that
Oh
you
yeah.
explained what this is, I'm like, that's actually very fascinating. So I am going to
Yeah.
try and move on. All right, what are we looking at here?
Um. Yeah. This is like I've been playing this game. OWW. Have you heard of it? It's Occupy White Walls.
I don't know. Maybe you have to explain a little more.
Yeah, it's like it's actually a free game on Steam, and it's amazing because you can build your own gallery, and you buy all these assets, and you buy paintings, and you put them on the walls, and but the assets are like really cool. Like, as you can kind of see in this, it's like a really cool like virtual world where you build galleries and put assets up and everything. And the reason I kind of included this is because I've been playing the game since like May 2020, I think. I kind of got into it during lockdown, because I wanted to feel like I was going to places and, rather than stuck at home. And the
Mm,
game gave me that like ability to go and be in another space. And you can visit other people's galleries in the game. It's really amazing. So what you do is you buy your collection of artwork, and you can always buy more and stuff. But when I was playing the game, I kind of like it kind of helped me to bridge when I heard about NFTs and that sort of thing. It kind of made sense because like in the game, you're always buying assets and you're always buying paintings and stuff. So it made complete sense to me that people were buying like artworks on the blockchain, and so I didn't really need to kind of have it explained to me or anything like that. I kind of understood it
mm,
through playing this game. But
yeah,
you should check it out. It's,
yeah.
Occupy White Walls. Yeah.
I don't assume it's decentralized or things like that, but I do. I actually am curious about it as well, and I like that it's bridging the
Mm,
gap between like that understanding as well. Um,
yeah.
I'm
I mean,
definitely.
you don't use real money in the game. It's like you just
Ah,
yeah, it's nothing like that. No, you what happens is like you build a gallery, and you open when you every time you open the gallery, you earn some, like they call it it's called cubes. You earn some cubes, and you use these cubes to buy stuff with. So it's not real money. Yeah.
wow. It's still like the concept was like ahead of its time, to be completely honest.
I think it's quite a new game. It's only been going for about 3 years, I think. And it's
Wow.
all like a new
That's like
concept. Yeah,
20
but
years in crypto time if they were in
the
crypto.
galleries are amazing. I mean, like it's
Yeah.
amazing the stuff you see in there. It's like the
Yeah.
creativity and stuff in there is just like
Oh, so people
really
submit
cool.
stuff and then or is it just
You can actually put your own art in the game, and then
interesting?
but the people that developed it, they put loads of art of like, it has to be like that the artist has been dead for 70 years because of the copyright issues. So you've
Oh,
got a lot of like older artists. You've got a lot of 18th century art, 19th century stuff.
so 70
So you can find
years.
Van Gogh in there. Van Gogh is in there, and like Kandinsky and all those
What's
people.
the 70-year significance? I've never heard of that.
Well, the copyright expires when the artist has been dead for 70 years, something like that, unless there's some like rules with the artist estate or something. Sometimes it might be longer.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So
This is some
the
art
gen
knowledge I've never heard of.
yeah, it's complicated, but like generally the rule is that like if the artist's been dead for 70 years, it becomes public domain.
Wow. I really am intrigued by that, and I'm gonna have to do some research because I used to like patents and stuff, and we actually had an artist spotlight where an individual. Oh, I'm gonna feel so bad. Like I know the name; it's on the top of my tongue, but and he's probably listening too. All right, I'm just gonna not try and name names right now. Tut tut,
Okay.
Russ. anyway, he does patents, and he revives these patents, and it's so cool.
Yeah, Paul Clay, maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm bad with names as well. But yeah, they've got like Hilma of Clint is in the game as well. She's an amazing like person that I thought I should mention. But
I'm gonna have to get in this game.
You can't really see that well in that picture, like the game, but because I use some of the footage to make a live a music performance, so it's kind of like I'm sort of like superimposed over the top of it. But those are my paintings on the wall.
Oh,
in the
wow.
game. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
But I put some of my paintings in the game, and it's But I mean, it's just amazing, like seeing like it's amazing going to a place like that's so cool and looking at art like that, and I think a lot of people use the game that probably would never go to a gallery, a normal museum or something, and it's because like it appeals to gamers, obviously. So I'm a bit of a gamer. I'm not a huge gamer, but I sort of playing like Nintendos and things like that. But yeah, it's really cool.
It is fascinating for sure. Like, and I love that it's a bridge into this crypto world and stuff like that. So now I wrote it all down. I'm gonna have to get on it. So this is
see you on there.
Yeah, exactly. This is is this what's on Terra Virtua right now?
Yeah, the one on the left is sold, but I released these as like editions of one, so they're all kind of like just one. So the one on the right is still available. But this is kind of what I was talking about, where I kind of wanted to go deeper into the geometric stuff and to use both drawing and digital, and kind of like using all the skills that I sort of use in my design work and sort of putting that into there to make textures and things and to just kind of make the drawing come a bit more alive. You could sort of maybe do those sort of things with colouring and pencils or things like that, but I just thought I'd have a go on Photoshop, and I was quite surprised with the results, and I was quite happy with, because you can sort of play around and experiment, and so this is what I came up with. Yeah.
No, I'm like really intrigued. I have to keep scrolling, but I'm not like and this is part of the same series, right?
Yeah, this is the same series. So it was a series of 6 that I first dropped with TV.
Do you just like sit down and just let your mind go, or do you have inspiration, or how does that work?
With these, yeah, I do just sort of sit down and let my mind do its thing. But it probably is like I probably am looking at things and maybe I look at plants and things like that, and like I think like geometry in plants is amazing. When you watch like a sort of cactus growing or something. So there's things like that in there, and just little blobs and things like those little particles and maybe things that you can't even see. Like, I mean, I kind of go back to fractals sometimes, so to play around with fractal programs.
You and Mandel Sage could get along.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I do like let my mind do its thing, and I kind of like feel quite familiar with these shapes now, because I kind of draw the same shapes over and over, and I do like clusters of triangles, and I do these like river kind of like shapes and things, and like these flowing bits, and then these geometric bits, and I kind of make them all kind of like talk to each other, like they kind of like make friends with each other on the piece of paper, and then I take them into Photoshop and then see what will come out of there, and then so there's like doing different fills and coloring things in and bringing in backgrounds and maybe merging them with the background and things like that, and seeing what happens, and trying to get all the colors to kind of like play off each other.
Yep. This is exactly why I cannot refrain from purchasing art after these shows, because like, how do you not become bullish after an explanation like that? This is cool, because this like breaks it down. Initial drawing.
Yeah.
Okay. That's nice.
So that gives you an idea of how it would look just on white paper. Some of them I coloured in bits, and then but this one I kind of just left it as it was. And I thought, okay, I'll do everything colour-wise. I'll do everything digitally, and then it became something completely different. So
yeah. In the
Yeah.
future, if I have a game room in Terra Virtua where I just go maybe play board games and stuff, like I'm gonna own all of these if no one else purchases them, and then I'm gonna have them displayed in my game room because they are
Oh,
fun.
great.
Like I love, like, seriously, these are great. I'm very surprised. I know I say this a lot on the. How do I close this? Do I click? Please go away. There we go. But I know I say it a lot, like as far as like me being a collector, but like I forgot what I was going. That notification just threw my train of thought off. Like totally. Why did they do that? But no. Oh, I say that I'm surprised that these are still on sale, but I truly am. One of ones for 400 just doesn't even make sense, and like the amount of experience you have and the caliber of your art, it's just, to me, it's like if they are still available, I will buy them.
Oh, cool. Yeah. There's some these ones that you're looking at now. If you just scroll back up,
Yeah.
I think yeah. So this is like the new set that I'm going to drop on the 8th. So this is my newest stuff.
Oh man.
I've sent it over to TV and they're going to upload it on the 8th. So that's cool.
Okay, there we
And,
go. Mark your calendars. April 8th, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is kind of getting more in depth into this geometric stuff, and,
Wow.
and sort of that one on the left is like getting quite complex and sort of interesting.
This is wild. Like I do have to say, I feel like I'm tripping a little bit.
Yeah.
like, is it my computer screen, or is it kicking in? Like
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it really, like, it sort of reminds me of like things inside, like if you zoomed in on the world, that you'd find this whole like world of things happening, and shapes and formations and things, like
Wow.
I find it really interesting the way that, like, if you watch a leaf growing, it just knows how to grow, and you think, what's going on inside that leaf, like all this stuff happening, and it just knows that it's a leaf, and it's just like kind of fascinating, or
Yeah.
So I guess I think about that sort of stuff sometimes when I'm drawing these. But when I'm doing the sort of Photoshop work, I'm thinking a lot about color and shapes and how to texture it and things like that, and which kind of which kind of brush to use, and which kind of texture or which color works with another one, and so it can kind of like, it is like you start thinking about compositional things and stuff, like is this green going to work here? Is it going to work with the red?
There's a famous question that I'm going to steal from our community, because if I don't ask it, they always ask it. But how long does one of these artworks take, start to finish?
Well, it takes quite a while, actually, because I first do the drawing, and then I have to kind of like scan it in and stuff, and then I have to like clean it up, and cleaning it up takes ages, and because there's such a lot of detail in these drawings, and I've tried to do them kind of from scratch without the pen, but I just don't seem to be able to get the same kind of flow that I get with pen on paper, so I'm kind of like stuck with that process, really. But so it could take it takes a few days, I suppose. I try to work on several at a time, but they're not fast. They don't take like an hour or two. They take a few days, and I might do them in bits and pieces. So I might not do them like straight. Like I might not finish. I might do my initial drawing and then finish it like the next day. I might sort of like do a bunch of drawings on paper, and then choose the best ones, and then start working on them. And I might sort of like clean up all my drawings, scan them all in, clean them all up, and then think, okay, which ones do I want to work on, and then start working on them. So it's kind of hard to say from start to finish, but it's they take a long time. They're not fast. Like I would like to do fast stuff, but at the moment it just, I kind of get a bit perfectionist with them, and so it ends up taking a long time. And I've got several that are kind of in process ones, and when I hadn't finished and it wasn't resolved and that sort of thing, and it didn't look right and stuff, and it's so I have to get to the point where I'm happy with it, where it looks right. And I go back to the old ones and I think, oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't stop there because that wasn't right, you know. So with these two, I think they look right now. They've got the right amount of colors, and you know, everything sort of seems like to work well with each other, and it looks like there's nothing about them that really annoys me or anything like that. So.
I like that. Like nothing. Nothing's annoying.
When
it's good.
They're unresolved, there's always something that sticks out and goes.
Yeah,
you're not working properly, are you?
That's one thing I respect artists is knowing when when you're done. Like having that skill. Like I don't know how you come across it, but knowing when it's good. Like that's seriously an art form in itself.
It's kind of like it's just when it just no longer annoys you. There's something kind of niggly. Sometimes you need to step away from it. That's why I can't sort of do these just in 3 days. Like I need sometimes space away from them. Like it might be like a day or two, and I go back and I'm like, okay, keep working on it, and then be like, sometimes I go in, I resolve it in like 20 minutes, and I've been working on it for hours, and I go in and resolve it in 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But just because I've had like a couple of days off from looking at it.
Oh, I know that. Yep.
Yeah, and so there's probably some on my hard drive somewhere that just never got resolved. They'll never see the light of day. So it doesn't matter. But
no, our collectors are like, find them, please find them.
Yeah.
Now our collectors gonna be like dumpster diving at colleges now, like
well,
like they throw away all this work.
They do, honestly. Like if you go to the bins outside art colleges at the end of term, before summer holidays, they're full of art. So
wow,
it's a good tip for people if they want to get a good collection. Might not be the best stuff, but it'll be something.
If it's signed, it has a secondary market value. No. What was the original market? The dumpster, but let's not talk about that. It's real and authentic. It's all that matters.
Have a photo. They've probably got a photo of it somewhere.
Yeah.
So they can always mint it.
I love it. What are we looking at on this one?
These are as well from my new series, which I'm gonna be dropping on the 8th of April. They're like, this is where I was working on with white pen on black paper. So my initial drawing was white pen on black paper, and then these I've done like seasons with these because I was messing around with the colors, and I started thinking, actually, I'm not sure that I want to just stick with one final color. So one is winter and one is summer. So they're kind of like slightly different. So they're kind of like, maybe people would collect them like as a collectible thing. I kind of like collect like soft vinyl toys sometimes, and like they're kind of duplicates, but one has different colors than the other, and I want all of them. So it's kind of that concept of like wanting something that having something that's kind of slightly different colors. Does that make sense? Or
I'm gonna act like it does, even if it doesn't. No, like all I know is this looks fantastic. How you got there, it's just beyond me. Like it's just really. This is one of those things that I just buy early, think later.
That's good. You had a good reaction to it. Which one would you go for? The one on the left or the right?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Let's ask the community, left or right. Let's see what we get. Because honestly, the contrast on we got one right, left. We got two lefts. What? Middle is good. Fudd.
Middle.
The same way you came in, Fudd. Left. So we have 3 on the left, 1 on the right. Both. Utter volcano is just too nice. All right, so right now, the vast majority is siding with the left. How do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, well, it's just interesting. Yeah, I think the one I'm dropping is on the one on the right. But yeah, like I guess like I like both of them. They're completely different moods to me. One is like obviously very summery and a bit more lighter, and the other one is quite sort of like mysterious and a bit more. But yeah, it's interesting to know what people think.
I think the one on the right feels more like a backdrop. like, and
Oh
it
yeah.
really makes the character pop a lot more. So your
Mm,
eyes gravitate towards him versus like the whole picture as a whole.
mm,
Um, so I can see why you went with the right one based on like, I think people they were really fans of the contrast. But if you look at
mm.
the one on the right longer, you can understand like, oh, I see why this one is like what. Anyway, but
But I mean, I plan to drop both of them. Just like
oh,
the one I thought I'd do summer at the moment because summer's coming up. But I'm kind of experimenting with this kind of like seasons thing. Because
oh.
I mean, I don't know if anyone else there kind of collects stuff like, you know, like duplicates of things. Like I've got like several soft vinyl toys that are exactly the same but different colors.
You just say vinyl toys?
And yeah, vinyl toy, like, you know, like Japanese vinyl
Is there
toys.
anything you don't do?
No, I'm not making them. I'm collecting them. Maybe
Oh,
I might make them
oh,
one day.
okay. I thought you were making toys too. It about to blow my
No,
mind. I'm
I'm
like,
guys collecting them. Yeah.
wow,
So
that's
yeah, there's all
cool.
these like designer names that you know. There's all like different ones. I'm sure there's someone that knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's kind of like people will like just buy all of the different colors.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah.
No, that is cool. No, I know
So
exactly
that
what you mean.
both will be available at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um.
honestly, they're both extremely nice. Um,
Mm.
God, I mean, I'm gonna be hurting. Like my wallet's gonna be hurting anyway. Okay, here we go. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
This
so
is
this is
great.
like here as well. You've got summer and winter, so you know you can see like the difference. Like even though they're the similar drawing, like the colors make it completely. They make them completely different. Like one looks like a desert, you know, and one looks kind of reminds me of like Northern Lights or something. So you get like a completely different, like Iceland or something like that. You know, like it's like some sort of snowy country,
Hmm.
and then the other one's like a desert. You know, so I kind of thought I'd release both colors because
No,
you know,
it's really,
yeah,
really good. Now, yeah, now seeing this next to the one like this series, oh my gosh, this series is going to be amazing. Even more.
yeah.
Wow. This
So
is
the last one we were
fantastic.
just looking at, I'm dropping the summer one on the 8th. So that's the next one in that one.
Oh,
And then this one, yeah, I was doing kind of like seasons, and then I also like did this one that's like nighttime, which is really cool. Like it's kind of completely. It's amazing the way it completely changes when I've kind of edited the background. It's like the one on the. It's kind of like they're different compositions, like, but I think they both work. The one on the right and the one on the left kind of has a triangle shape over the other geometric forms, and
wow.
I really like the way the geometry works in these, like with these kind of lines and circles, and and then I like the contrast of like the kind of vector shapes that I was getting in Photoshop compared with the really hand drawn
Yeah.
pen
You know,
lines. Like,
can I pause you for a sec? Because the way you're explaining your art, you're almost like a spectator. Like you're explaining it as if like you didn't actually paint it. Like it's just like
oh yeah,
it's actually really fascinating to hear you talk about your own art. You're like, I like that this happened the way it did. I'm like, wait, but you painted that. Like,
yeah.
like it's really cool to have someone who's actually like,
It's
it's
like when
almost
you
like
kind of
you're in third person. Yeah, it's oh
yeah, it's
wow.
like you stand back and you look. When you're doing it, you're kind of not thinking so much about these things. But when you sort of stand back and look at it, because you know, people are always asking you for your artist statement, and that's when you think about these things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of think like, how would if I was just like looking at these and I wasn't the artist, how would I know what the hell I was looking at, you know? So
Wow.
you kind of think about those things a bit more and like people might not know that, you know, some of it was hand drawn on paper and some of it was kind of made using sort of vector shapes and Photoshop kind of things, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Mm.
No, this is fascinating. Truly. I feel like this your whole presentation is just like an evolution and now I'm like this is the finale and I'm like blown away. This is crazy.
Cool.
This
Yeah.
is really good. Wow.
Yeah.
So what are
Similar thing there.
yeah, what is this?
That's like that's actually I was quite inspired by there's this part of London which is like Greenwich, called Greenwich, and it's like there's like a kind of like waterfront area, and you know you can kind of see the city lights reflecting in the water, and it's kind of all quite some new buildings and stuff. And actually, it's really interesting because you can see Canary Wharf, which people might not know what that is, but it's a cluster of like high-rise skyscrapers.
Mm-hmm.
And from the perspective, and that's like, you know, the Thames, so that you've got the River Thames between Greenwich and this cluster of skyscrapers. And from that perspective, it looks like Manhattan. So it's like, I was like really amazed to I've never seen like that perspective before, because I'd never walked along that bit of the river. And so I took some photos and stuff when I was there, and I kind of made this. It's kind of got some photography in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I've kind of started to include photography in what I'm doing as well. Like, so it's kind of got another depth to it. So that was kind of inspired by that, like this kind of these kind of new buildings. So I called it New Skyline. New because I'd kind of never seen that skyline before.
Mm-hmm.
London's got a lot of different perspectives, and you've got the river. The river makes it like, because the river kind of winds through the city, and depending where you're standing, it can look really different. And I mean, the Thames is really fascinating, the way that the lights kind of shine on the water and stuff. So that was kind of really inspired by that. And I've got like this like moon. I've got the moon and the side, and again, like the colors make it look completely different.
Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that from before, but I definitely can tell. Like, I like both of them for varying reasons, and it's actually kind of fascinating that you were able to do that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Domino said, yeah, the smaller tower on the right reminds me of Canary Wharf from a distance. I don't know what Canary Wharf is.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah.
Canary Wharf,
wow. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, because one of the buildings has this like pyramid shape at the top.
Uh-huh.
And Canary Wharf, yeah.
Wow. Well, good one, Domino. Extra TVK for Domino for pointing that out.
Yeah.
All right, let me get my rice. Okay, here we are. Oh, no!
The last slide.
I feel like that's just this ending too soon. Wow.
Yeah, that's that I've kind of ended with. I ended the presentation with something I'm just working on at the moment. So that was what I was working on that day when I made the presentation.
Wow.
So it's kind of it's not quite finished yet, but it kind of gives you an idea of that. You know, you can see the photography in there. Kind of the building. Yeah. So again, I'm doing like different seasons with this one. Or might be, I think I'm just doing night and day with it. I think I'm doing sunrise and sunset. I think this might be sunset. I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, this I really like taking photos around the area. It's like it's amazing when the lights shine on the water like that. Like, it just looks so magical.
Yeah, I honestly have to say I love how you've blended hand drawn and digital, and then also you're mixing in some photography. Like, the it's gonna be hard to say, experimental nature that you have is something that I'm truly like excited for, just because like going through these slides, I've got to kind of like see that evolution of your experimentations, and it's really like starting to come to something that's like really spectacular. And so like that's why when I say that I'm excited about like, you know, all your other releases, because I can obviously see that you know, with these here, and golly, like I'm like super pumped. This is like really good. I'm super happy to have you.
I'm glad that you like really gel with it and stuff, and can see the, you know, the different ideas, how they kind of like, how they kind of how I reached it, how I got there.
Yeah, but like without like having this conversation, I don't know if I would have ever like known the story behind it. Like, I feel like we actually needed that much time to unpack your thought process behind how the art has kind of like came to fruition. And because now,
definitely,
like, because I always say, like, at the end of these, I always end up wanting to buy more, and I more often than not do end up buying from the artist, because like getting to know the story changes everything. It's